graph guy go last.
Sorry.
But see, I mean, you didn't even see that my entire presentation is about why you actually still need embeddings with GraphRag. I know. Also, full disclosure, I think about 70% of you who presented tonight are really going to hate me for everything I'm about to say, but that's life. A brief diversion. So, knowledge graphs are hard to work with. A lot of people really believe that. It's not just structuring the information as triples, which is not really intuitive. Subject, predicate, object is a little bit of a different way of thinking about information. But then you get into, oh, do we do it in RDF? Do we do it in Cypher, GQL, Gremlin? There's lots of different graph query languages, structures. And matter of fact, if you work with knowledge graphs, you realize that most knowledge graphs don't really implement the query languages quite the same. You know, like Cypher and Neo4j versus Cypher and something like memgraph can be a little bit different. And then you get really complex ontologies. People say, you know, you have to label everything when you're entering in the information or you're not going to be able to find it. Well, that's the key part, being able to find it. Well, that's where vector search comes in. Well, first of all, the first part, when we do the data transformation. So you take data and you do the graph transformation, which in our case we do in RDF triples, and then we can transform into other stuff. But the key part is that we also create vector embeddings along with that graph transformation. And that gets stored in Qdrant. So our retrieval process is a little bit different. Most people that are doing GraphRag, they're relying on an LLM to come up with Cypher queries. That's scary. Or they may be doing this vector search. So what we're doing actually is somebody processes a request, it immediately hits Qdrant, where we start doing a semantic similarity search. Why? Because we've already mapped things that we know are in the system to vector embeddings. So we then get a list of, hey, these are things that seem to be relevant to what you're asking about. From there, we go, aha, we know these things are in the graph because that's where these mappings came from. So we now know how to generate subgraphs, no LLMs necessary. This is a relatively straightforward process. You know, there's 8 permutations you can do of a query to get a full subgraph. So we put that query, we connect to whatever knowledge graph we're using, and that's how we get the context back for GraphRag. So this is where I'm going to go in a little bit different direction. So this is kind of what people have been doing up to now. And this got a lot of stuff off the ground. You know, LangChain was kind of the first to kick down the door. You know, how do you build these LLM apps, AI apps? And then there was things like Llama Index, and then if you were building agents, Crew AI. Now people are talking about MCP. I think IBM announced today that they've come up with their own variant of MCP, but this still requires a lot of work to glue all this stuff together. And not only that, to glue it all together in a scalable way, in a reliable way, and a secure way. That one too. And that's where TrustGraph comes in. So what is actually TrustGraph? Yes, it's all this stuff in between. Everything. And you're probably thinking, well, what does that even mean? Well, even this is a gross oversimplification. It's everything it's from the orchestration to the actual control flow, to the observability and telemetry, to everything that takes the data transformation, the data storage, the deploying of those data storage stores, listen to me, you can tell it's getting late. And then all the retrieval parts of that. And there's way more stuff going in there. We even have MinIO in there for blob storage on how we have to manage stuff going around within TrustGraph. And a lot of people tonight talked about, well, what happens if you have hundreds of documents, thousands of documents. Our users are talking about, we spent a week ingesting documents into TrustGraph. We're not talking about thousands, tens of thousands, we're talking millions. We're talking about people that actually typically will work with billion-plus node knowledge graphs. We're talking about huge scalable data. Well, let me actually show you a little bit about it before I do that. I do have it running. And this is actually, I think Terry actually had a picture he posted on Twitter of this when he saw this at our workshop. But this is actually our configuration portal. So everything I described in TrustGraph, there's no coding involved. It's just you select what you want and it will build the deployment for you, no LLMs involved. So Docker, Kubernetes, deploy those things in AWS, deploy in GCP. We haven't done Azure yet, but we can. The different graph stores we support, which Cassandra, which isn't a typical graph store, Neo4j, MemGraph, and FalconDB. We like Cassandra because of all those nines of reliability. You can't get more than Cassandra. Different chunking algorithms, different chunking parameters. Also, out of the box, we support every single major LLM deployment out there. Except we don't support the direct Mistral API, but we'll probably add that in a couple of days. AWS Bedrock, you just go down here and you select a model. Oh, and by the way, you see an OLLAMA and LLAMA file on here. If you're really worried about PII, you're not going to be sending that to a third-party API LLM. You're going to want to have a total local private deployment. That's one of the reasons we support OLLAMA or llama files, or even Hugging Face. We also support Hugging Face as well. That's a little bit different on how to do that, though. You go in here, you see everything you can customize in the system. This is every single prompt that's in the system that you can customize and how it's structured. Even the React agent router and how that's structured. Even the agent tools, how you can structure those and customize those. Get here, finish deployment, gives you all the instructions and everything you need to set on how you deploy it. I have it running right now. Yes, observe beyond telemetry, so exciting. And this is just and again, this is all open source. Everything I'm showing you right now is open source. You can pull this from our repo. This is just our data workbench. I created a knowledge core, which I didn't even talk about that, all the data management aspects and features that are built natively into TrustGraph. I actually pulled Amazon's 10K for 2024 and created a knowledge core for that. So let's ask a quick question. And I'm typing it so you know it's real. And I'm typing something weird because you're like, what? Yeah, because Amazon invested in Rivian. Yeah, see, there's the information about it. This is buried about halfway through Amazon's 10K, which, as you know, if you would just dump the 10K into a long context LLM, anything buried in the middle is going to get lost. So this is just the actual answer. If you go here to see related topics, we can start actually seeing how they're structured in the graph and getting this really cool, I'm actually going to hate these, but I like this one, graph visualization, and in 3D. I know, isn't that exciting? Ooh, you can even see the relationship. See? Look at that, I can watch those all day. Look at the little blue dot going, the directionality of the relationship. And if I hit this one, because that's the parent meta tag for all of this, it's going to explode. And so we see all the information that's related to all this. We can grab these, drag and drop, and all sorts of fun stuff. But again, TrustGraph, open source, join the community. You still need embeddings even in the graph RAG world. We have a lot of interesting stuff coming up in the development. Multimodal RAG coming very soon. I was actually on a podcast recently where I described temporal RAG as something we're really excited about. As time is actually a way of getting to ground truth, which is something that we have a lot of experience with in our past lives. That we're going to be releasing really soon. Lots of other features, lots of other stuff we're actually working on with Qdrant as well. All that stuff coming really soon. And what are we doing now?
We're announcing the winner.
Yeah, but is all the ice cream gone?
All the ice cream gone.
Oh.